Hey, filmmakers and fans, Christopher Moonlight here, and wanted to wish you all a happy Friday and talk a little bit about what's been on my mind for this week. In a word, legitimacy. I was talking to one of my fellow live streamers, Shinovsky, and he brought up that word in relation to another conversation that we were having, but it really stuck with me because really what we're seeing at the moment in the entertainment industry, Hollywood particularly, and the people in charge of Hollywood, is a kind of weird struggle for or to delegitimize the fans, the online critics, and other filmmakers who have either in the past made great movies or independent filmmakers who are now trying to use modern tools to create stories that people will enjoy and maybe find some value in. Value is another good part of this. These days, I think a lot of people in Hollywood tend to see stories as purely some form of cheap, empty, calorie-driven entertainment like fast food, and I've made that comparison in the past. It doesn't have to have any substance. They essentially just want consumers to keep buying it, whatever it is, and they can slap whatever franchise coat of paint on it that they want, and people will just go like, oh, this is another installment of this, and I want it because of whatever they think that coat of paint brings to it, which essentially is just money. They want the fans and the critics to be mindless consumers. And really what it comes down to is there is a lot of pushback that they don't like. They just say to themselves, hey, we made this for you. Why can't you just enjoy it? It's obviously your fault, the fans' fault, and you're ruining everybody else's ability to enjoy something. So you must be the problem. And in doing that, what are they doing? They're trying to delegitimize you, delegitimize your point of view, delegitimize the fact that you, as a fan, were probably along for the ride a lot longer than they had been. You were there before they came into play, and you understood the rules. You understood what it was about these franchises, these stories that attracted people in the first place, what they got from it on a value basis. And I don't just mean value monetarily. I mean value in terms of the story contains some substance that you found value in, that you connected with, that you felt you could orient yourself through understanding that story. And by connecting with other people who can understand that story, you come together on common ground. If you can do all of those things, then you will recognize when something does not have that value. And that terrifies them because they know deep down inside that they are unable to deliver that value. They think that, again, they can take whatever and slap a coat of paint on it, and it'll make that thing part of the universe, and they can claim whatever status comes with that. If they can control it, they can change it. They become more important than that. That's kind of like the nihilistic worldview, materialistic worldview of might makes right. If you have more power, then your power is what dictates reality. The example of this that I can think of the most is the man who shot John Lennon, who was very adamant in declaring that he shot John Lennon at the scene of his crime because, in his mind, the person who can kill John Lennon becomes more important than John Lennon. Well, just all he did was pull a trigger on a man and commit an act of murder. He didn't do over 2 decades of musical innovation that changed the world in terms of how we perceive music, how we approach rock and roll. And those effects have long outlasted John Lennon as a human being, as a living person. So again, that's kind of like that materialistic worldview in that sense didn't really hold true, because that guy's in a jail cell, rotting. I don't know. Did he die? I don't care. I don't even want to say his name, because that's how little a contribution he made, in comparison to John Lennon. However you may feel about John Lennon as a person, his music, which I absolutely love, is transcendent. It has gone on to, the ripple effect has lasted to this day. And, so to these people, taking, a property like Star Wars and essentially completely dumping it. I mean, I'm not even going to say they rewrote it. It's like, as far as canon goes, I see the fans complaining about that. It's like, this isn't even Star Wars. We know this. They bought the rights to use the name, and they essentially more and more are creating stories that are just self-reports. I mean, what is the Acolyte if not a shining example of how they perceive the world through their everyday life? I mean, it's kind of hilarious to see Jedi talking like the middle management of a corporation. And then, what is the latest episode? It's probably what they do in their off hours, which is dress up in witchy robes and chant weird things and do unsavory stuff that probably there's photographs in that incriminate people. And that's why they were able to just waltz in and pitch a stupid project like this, and nobody told them no, and here's a bunch of money. And where did that money go? Probably to fund other things that are unsavory. But you got to put it in the budget so you can launder it. That's just speculation. I'm not saying I have any proof of that, but come on. Like, you look at it and something like that is going on. They don't care about these properties, but they do think that they are just as talented or smart as the people who created them. They think that art is easy, that anyone can do it, and therefore whatever nonsense they come up with is just as legitimate. This is the whole idea of like, there's no good or evil. There's no, there should be equality of everything. Really, they want equality of everything so that their substandard work can sit on a shelf with the very best, the very highest of artistic accomplishments, and that nobody should be able to question it or challenge it, because if they delegitimize you, then there's no way you can know better than them, and therefore you are put in your place. Sit down. Just like this. Why don't you like this? It's made for you. It's just as good as everything else. No. They are afraid of fans and other creators' voices. And the only way they can do anything about that is to become authoritarian, in the sense of either they can out and out have social media platforms censor you, or they can have the media attack you and accuse you of being the worst things in the world. But it all comes down to legitimacy. They have none. We can see it. So the only thing that they have left is to work to delegitimize everybody that criticizes them, everybody that can compete with them. This is why, actually, and I probably am going to put this in the title of the YouTube video, and you're probably waiting for like the second part of this, but this is why so many people attack AI. I've talked in the past before how there's a lot of Silicon Valley people who want to encourage the fear and panic over AI, and kind of stir up this mass existential crisis of artists and creators, so that they can scare people into being on their side when it comes time to regulate it, to create licenses for it per, whatever lobbying they can do to the government to make sure that not everyone can use AI and therefore they have a competitive edge. And that is still, it holds true. I think that's still a big part of it. But the other part of it is Hollywood, as much as they'll use AI and they'll pander to the guilds about limiting it and then turn around and just go ahead and use it anyway. But they want to delegitimize AI because people like me, independent creators like me, can use AI as a way to compete with them. But if you delegitimize it, and not just delegitimize it on the corporate level, but if you get all those kind of like, let's just face it, not so intelligent people on the internet that don't actually have a horse in the race because they never make an effort to create anything, or they know if that they try and create something, they're going to have to start from scratch, which they don't want to. They want to get boosted to the head of the line. They never do anything. They sit behind their computer and they talk about, they usually repost other people's memes, which is ironic if you think about it, all about how AI is bad and how artists need to rise up and stand together and that sort of thing. It's like, no, they just want a collective that they can have stand behind them, even though they haven't done anything to legitimize themselves, and delegitimize those people who are actually doing the work, who are pushing the technology, who might stand to gain something, might stand to be successful, and then remind them just how unaccomplished and illegitimate they are. So, this is, in their mind, it's a might makes right power structure. And at the moment, the biggest tool, the biggest weapon in that fight is delegitimizing those who are legitimate, so the legitimate cannot criticize the illegitimate. That holds true for AI, that holds true for entertainment, and that, I believe, is what we're facing as whether you're a fan who, like I said in the past, I've talked about, play and understanding the rules and how that is a rehearsal for life and storytelling. So, if you are a fan and you know the rules and you want to call them out, absolutely keep calling them out. I would caution against, remember to be an adult about it. Be articulate in your thoughts. Don't just go sloganeering. Don't keep repeating. Like, if somebody says something clever online, don't repeat it, because I guarantee you a ton of people are also repeating it. And then it just seems like everyone's creating a mantra, just like those stupid witches and the Acolyte were chanting. That does no good. Analyze what bothers you the most. Be articulate about it. Be an adult about it. Show some stoicism, so that your arguments, when you point out something that's illegitimate, I'll say it again. If you point out something that's illegitimate, you seem reasoned and level-headed about it, and people will be more willing to listen to you. You don't seem like someone who's just repeating what they heard online. Be focused. Don't attack every single last thing. But, it's like, if you have kids or grandchildren and you partake in children's entertainment with them, comments on that. If you're a fan of Star Wars or Star Trek or the Alien franchise, and like I said, I am actually looking forward to Alien Romulus. I do think that there's going to be some good things about that. And that's the other thing. Keep an eye out for what's good. And I would say primarily in the independent sphere, the smaller movies, the smaller creators. Nobody's going to pick up the saber and lead the charge for them if you don't. Don't wait around for somebody else to champion them. This is why I like Film Threat and Chris Gore. He is very good about championing independent films. My own movie, The Quantum Terror, is that's Film Threat's award show, winner for Best Indie Horror Movie, and I'm very proud of that. So, if I can flex there for a moment. But honestly, remember, we are the legitimate ones. So we need to be able to articulate our grievances and behave in a way that tells everyone around us who might be watching or listening that we are legitimate. And we have some authority, not granted to us by a corporation or a government, but through our own experiences and our own passions, to criticize the illegitimate. And anyone that tells you that you can't or shouldn't be really isn't thinking this through, because the illegitimate will always be there. We might back them off for a bit, and then we get comfortable, and then they're back again. And they're very persuasive. They're very tricky. They lie all the time. We know this. This is kind of, aside from being a collectivist and authoritarian way of thinking, it's also very Luciferian. It's lies and deceit for short-term gain at the cost of anything of real value, which only can lead to complete destruction of anything that we can hold on to maintain our individuality and to orient ourselves towards higher goals, higher purposes. So never stop calling them out. Just pay attention to how you conduct yourself. And if you do that, then in contrast, the illegitimate will only seem more ridiculous, only seem less appealing. And so I believe we should continue on to do that, because otherwise we're going to always be fighting not to live in their miserable, valueless world. This world can be a great place. It really comes down to what we make of it, how we behave, and what we ascribe value to. And so if I hadn't said value enough times or legitimacy enough times, I think you get it at this point. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Again, I'm sure I can always add more. I always do these videos and think after the fact that I could have said something better. Maybe I should take more time to script these, but honestly, I am a filmmaker, and I do only dedicate a small amount of bandwidth to doing these videos because I am currently working on creating my own independent films. Like I said, I did The Quantum Terror, which is available on video on demand at the moment. And I am also preparing to create Escape from Planet Omega 12, which is a kind of fun science fiction story. It's animated. It incorporates practical effects and AI technology combined together. And soon, it hasn't been announced yet, I will be speaking at an event on a panel about AI and filmmaking. I really want to urge you to get in on AI, whether it interests you as a creative process or not, because what I believe is two things. One, those who get on this early are going to be able to ride the wave and prosper from it. But because the advancements are happening so fast, if you get on too late, it's not going to be as easy to make money using it. But the other thing is, if you are passionate about some other form of art, like I am about practical effects and puppets and miniatures, AI can help to enhance what you do there and fill in the gaps with what budgetarily otherwise couldn't. So AI can actually help you in accomplishing more with the things that you're actually passionate about. It does the heavy lifting where you're not able to, so you can focus on doing the best possible job on what really makes you excited about creating stories and art. So I would encourage you to like this, leave a comment, constructive, be good. So I'm starting to see people fight in my comments, and that's never what I want. I would love it if you shared this, and also check out my social media. It's Christopher Moonlight on Instagram, and of course, it's C Moonlight Films on Twitter. You can also find Sci Exploitation, which is what I do my sci-fi film stuff through. Side Exploitation is on Instagram, X. I said Twitter, didn't I? It's X, I know. And Facebook. And check out more of my YouTube videos because I've got interviews, tutorials, and previews of what I'm doing. So thanks for listening. Again, happy Friday. And remember, you are legitimate. And there are a lot of people out there who are illegitimate who want to keep you down so they can continue peddling worthless nonsense that does nothing for you, and they don't care about you. So why support them? You know, people always say, why, you know, there's this argument at the moment. Why should I give money to people who hate me? And the response is, these people don't even know who you are. They don't hate you. They don't care about you. It's like, yeah, well, actually, they may not hate you, but they do know you're out there, and they do see you as a threat to the wool they're trying to pull over everyone's eyes, and they are actively seeking to delegitimize you. Don't let them. And spread that message, because the more you know it, the more other people know it, the less chance they have of winning this weird power struggle that they've inflicted upon us. So, all right, that's all I got to say. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.